The cool mid-autumn air cooled the burning sensation on her scraped, bloody knee. This was good. It also skipped her energy, as the eventual adrenaline high from her flight from the Castle of the Two Sisters, and behind the alley of Sugar Cube Corner, and her own library, turned into the adrenaline crash. That was bad. Her wing beats were slowing down, becoming fewer and fewer. Her overall speed slipped to barely maintaining a glide. Twilight glanced down. In the dark of the night, with the moon and stars overhead, the rural fields and the pasture lands that surrounded Ponyville was surprisingly well detailed. Despite that, she had no idea where she was, or what farm she was soaring over.
Well, soaring is a relative term in this case. Those treetops are awfully close looking. Okay, Sparkle, think. Flying to Canterlot is going to be a long shot at this rate. If I wasn't running on fumes and fear, I could manage it. But this? Not happening.
Twilight looked back behind her at the silent blot that was perfectly sleeping Ponyville. The darker slit house of her new castle rose highest of all, standing out against the night sky. She could still make out a tiny sliver of starlight glimmering off the crystal growths.
Dang, I've hardly made any progress at all.
She gasped when something darker than both the night and her castle moved into the very edge of her vision. It was following her. Fear spiked Twilight, and her body responded, pushing her flight mode into overdrive again. The burning was momentarily forgotten as the beat of her wings tried to catch more air. Her hooves grazed the tops of trees, and she started to climb again into the clear sky. All she could think was how much she must have stand out against the rest of the sky, and how much of a target she was.
Think smart. I can't run forever. Need to hide. Catch my breath and use my magic to make some real distance.
Twilight Sparkle.
The whisper came right over her shoulder. The chilly night air turned into the sudden dead cold of winter, and it tore at her mane and coat, making her eyes water.
You don't have the sixth.
What?
Twilight dared to look back, but nothing was there.
I don't know who or what you are, but you aren't getting near to my friends.
Spark didn't.
Oh yeah? I've trained with the Rainbow Dash. Fastest flyer in Equestria. Catch me if you can.
Bravado had overridden sense, it seemed, but Twilight knew she was going to need to do more than just run. She tucked her wings in tightly, the way Rainbow did when she performed Power Dive. Below her, the ground started to approach rapidly, the details turning murky. She pointed her nose where she wanted to be. Out over a small pond, its far banks shouldered the shadows of the tall trees. The maneuver was risky. She wasn't anywhere near as skilled as her Pegasus friend, but if she pulled it off, she'd have more than enough speed to propel herself at a glide long enough to evade whatever was chasing her, and gather enough magic in her horn to trigger another long-range teleport. At least, that's what she hoped. The cold air clawed at Twilight's face as she approached the terminal velocity. The ground below her was a blur of shadows, until suddenly gave way into the ink-like shimmer of the pond she was angled towards. That was the signal. She was at the right height. Twilight ducked in her legs, and Titan flicked open her wings to grip the wind, angling them to pull herself up and out of the dive. The strain was intense. It felt like she was trying to wing up with Rainbow Dash standing on her back along with the rest of her friends. Twilight pushed, gasping against the pain. Her eyes closed to a narrow squint. She could barely see where she was heading, but she put her trust in the laws of aerodynamics and momentum to keep her from hitting the surface of the pond like a falling stone. Her wings felt like they were about to snap when the tremendous pressure shifted along with the wind. She forced her eyes open enough to make out where the water were a mere hoof span under her, spraying and kicking up in her wake. The last dregs of the bravado came back to Twilight as she let out a whoop. assuming she made it to the dawn. She was already gone to having to thank her friends for the relentless flight drills. She looked forward at the bottom was dropping from her buoyant mood. She pulled up, in the same time avoiding a watery crash, but speeding was hurling her towards the trees at the pond's edge faster than she could pull up. She took a deep breath, threw all of her will into a spherical shield, and closed her eyes. When she cracked them open again, her violent shield was sputtering against the nothingness. Twilight looked up from where she had come to a final rest on her side. Behind her was a visible path through the footage canopy that her crash had beat, snapping branches and thinner tree trunks that dared get in between her and the loamy soil. She could see the edge of the trees where they were slid up from the waterline, the strait making it seem like a bright compound of Italy. Even rolling as she watched, the light dimmed, the already cold leaves under her coat getting colder as a dark mist rolled in. Twilight sat there, breathing hard, the mist curling over the surface of the water. It exceeded thick fingers between the tree trunks, searching the forest floor for its prey. For her. Before her eyes, Twilight ragged breathing started the fog in front of her. The woods around them creaking quietly, the tiny sounds of nautical wildlife halting. They knew, as well as she did, that the predator was under the canopy with them. Twilight cracked her teeth together, crunching her jaw as she struggled to her hooves. Mud, leaves, and the sticks rained for her coat. When the bubble shield faded, she only sank a few inches into the moist forest floor, and even in those few seconds, more than enough stuff latched onto her, sapping away from her body heat and weighing her down. Twilight shook herself off like a dog and scrambled over to the log she had come to investigate. On the other side, she found mostly more than just mud, earth, and leaves, and the shadow depths of the woods was thankfully clear of mist. Hopefully, it was equally clear of whatever was chasing her.
Just got to get to Canterlot!
Twilight took a step, flinching as the loud snap of a tree branch under her.
Just got to contact the princess! Just gotta make it until the dawn!
Twilight Sparkle.
Ah! Get away from me!
Adrenaline hit her system like a steam hammer, her heart pounding in her ears as Twilight shot off into the woods to Tartarus wherever lay in the shadows.
Support me on Patreon and Ko-fi. Links in the description. Thanks for listening and be sure to subscribe. Good night, every pony.